Namaste everyone from Dhananjay Kumar and welcome to this very interesting video in a series called Great Minds, Great Quotes. The topic is reality. Now many of you may have seen 2 or 3 other videos I had made in a different context, perception versus reality. So the first quotation I will begin is by Gautam Buddha. All descriptions of reality are temporary hypotheses. In other words, it is not a hypothesis proven for all time and for all locations. It's a temporary hypothesis. Why temporary? Because it keeps changing. Not only it keeps changing, but it must change. It is necessary to change. We don't change reality, but perception of reality. Because what we call reality is moving through many gradations. At the first stage, we believe what we see is real. And then we discover, after some exploration, that what we see is what we see. It's not necessarily reality. Because our eyes are not perfect, not only eyes, all these 5 sense perceptions put together are not perfect to know reality and to sense reality. And as our perceptions become more observant, then suddenly we see or realize more. We perceive more deeper. So our prior perception of reality changes. Then inherently our senses are limited. So we use devices. We can use microscope, telescope, and certainly what we observe is much more beyond our sensory perception. So that prior reality, understanding of reality, has now changed. Then we can travel to other locations on this planet or even in space. And then what we observe is a reality much more beyond and wider than what we knew before. Similarly, in our waking state, all of that I have described is the waking state. In our dream state, we see what we believe is real only until we wake up. We see a new world which is kind of interpretation of our hidden thoughts, hidden beliefs, hidden ideas. Those we have ignored, but they have had an impact on us. So whatever has had an impact on us, dived deeper into us, is our waking state plus more that we were not aware, but we were observing but not paying attention to. But it appears in our dream state. Then in our deep sleep state, which is much vast scope of vision. Vision, but we do not see the vision because we are asleep. So there are many gradations. And then we go through our intellectual enhancement. When we learn and observe new things, what we call our world of reality changes. So it keeps on changing, it keeps on evolving, and it probably never reaches the state of absolute, perfect understanding of reality. So that is a journey. So all our descriptions, now descriptions have another limitation of language. Because you may feel something, but there are no words to express. So that's called mystical experience. Now, mystical experiences can be also real, even more real than our waking state observation. So, description is in language, is in expression, manifestation of our thoughts. That has its own limitation on top of all the others that I have described. So, all descriptions of reality are temporary hypothesis. This one is by Nisargadatta Maharaj, and he has kind of given a good definition of what is real. All I know is that whatever depends is not real. The real is truly independent. In other words, what is dependent or subject to certain conditions. If reality is subject to the condition of our senses, then it's not real. If reality, what we believe to be reality, is depending on the weather, temperature changes, it's raining. So rain depends on the clouds and the ocean. It depends on something. So it is not really real. If, for example, our dreams depend on our experience or hidden wishes or desires, it depends. Our dreams depend on something. Therefore, dreams are not real. Our knowledge depends on the books we read. We have not had a direct encounter with a slice of knowledge. What we read, so what we know depends on what we read. So if it depends, then it is not the real truth. What we are taught or what we believe in. So if we believe in something, we call that real, but that reality depends on our belief system. Therefore, according to this quotation, it is not real. So I guess you go through step by step this kind of exploration, this kind of questioning of yourself, and you will find that one day, eventually, you may reach a place where what we know is independent, does not depend on something happening, something else happening, therefore this appears here, then it is dependent. So reality here is defined as which is independent, truly independent. Now this quotation by S.I. Hayakawa further defines it, further defines reality. Anything a person senses about reality in terms of light, color, sound, shape, temperature, etc. is not a direct recording of absolute reality. So the previous quotations have hinted at this, and I have also tried to explain. Anything a person senses about reality in terms of lights, colors, sounds, shapes, temperature, etc. is not a direct recording of absolute reality. It is the nervous system interpretation of a very limited sample of energies of reality. So our nervous system, our sensory system is interpreting, and that interpretation is very limited. So this is another way to look at it. If our reality, what we believe is real, is an interpretation of something else, then that something else may be deeper reality without the interpretation, with your direct understanding. So there is a very, very poignant message here. Another perspective by Simone Weil. Attachment is the great fabricator of illusion. Reality can be attained only by someone who is detached. Because attachment has a quality that it changes the value of what you are attached to. because whatever you are attached to, you give more value to it. It's important to you. That's why you are attached. Now, attachments had its own problems. Then is ownership, and then you lose it. You are unhappy. Emotions are involved. So it becomes very complicated. So whatever you are attached to, that attachment is the great fabricator, which means it's an artificial creation of or interpretation of reality. Reality can be attained only by someone who is detached. So I read it one more time. Attachment is the great fabricator of illusions. Reality can be attained only by someone who is detached. Now, this quotation reflects a subtler aspect of science by Hermann Minkowski. Henceforth, space by itself and time by itself are doomed to fade away into mere shadows. So it is obvious what he's saying. Space by itself and time by itself is not real. Well, Einstein tried to combine the two, space-time, but even then, time by itself, space by itself are doomed to fade away into mere shadows, and only a kind of union of the two will present an independent reality. Now, why is it so difficult to unite time and space? Einstein has attempted to do it quite successfully, so please study that. But we think in terms of time and space separately. That time has independent existence and it is passing, regardless of whether you want it to pass or not. It is independent of you. So time is passing. You have no control over it. There is expansion of space. We experience space as something different from time. Time and space differential. So we move from here to there and there to elsewhere. We think that exists independently. But if we just think that our going from here to there is also passing in time, so somehow time and space are connected, and this is the hint here. When time and space are in union, we are closer to reality. Then observing and experiencing time and space separately. So try this experiment of uniting the two. Here's another perspective. Douglas Harding. In appearance, I am a thing moving about in space. In appearance, I am a thing moving about in space. In reality, I am the unmoving space. So this is a zigzag way of explaining this, that we think we are moving in space. But what is moving is our bodies. Our body, which is also made of space and other physiology. So our body is moving in space, and that space is our mind and our intellect and our wisdom, our understanding, in which the body is moving and we are experiencing different aspects of our body movement, our physical movement. But the movement is taking place in space, and we are, in truth, the space in which our bodies are moving. So I'm just giving you one interpretation of this. I'm sure there are many more. Another way to look at it is by Nisargadatta Maharaj. In reality, all is here and now, and all is one. Multiplicity and diversity are in the mind only. So reality is here and now, which we are experiencing every moment. When the moment has passed, we are remembering it, not experiencing it. So our remembrance cannot be as real as our experience. Similarly, the future we have no knowledge of, we are not experiencing it. We are imagining it. So our imagination could not be as real as our experience. And we experience future only when it becomes now. So now and here is the only reality. The rest are happening in mind. This is kind of reassurance by Marjorie Williams. Once you are real, once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always. So, here the connection between permanence, between eternity and reality. Because what is truly real is unchanging. It is always real and always is eternity. So once you are real, you can't become unreal again. That I am real from time to time, otherwise I am unreal. You can have the experience of living in an unreal world, in your physical movement, in your communication, in language, all that. You are aware that this is not the ultimate reality. But you cannot make yourself unreal. You can see what is unreal, you can know what is unreal, but once you have attained reality, you yourself cannot become unreal. William James, our reality is merely a selection from a vast potential that exists all around us and is separated from us by the flimsiest of veils. It's a flimsy veil, it's not really thick curtain. It's see-through, it's a transparent veil, invisible veil, which means obstruction. So our reality is a minor selection from a vast potential that exists. He's not talking about reality as real. He's talking about our reality that we think is real. So there is a difference. So I would modify it. What we think is real is merely a minor selection from a vast potential of what exists all around us. But why we don't know it? Because of this flimsy veil. And that flimsy veil is the veil of our ignorance. Once we go beyond it, we can experience reality. So let us all try to reduce the impact of the flimsiest veil around our minds, our understanding, and enlighten our beings, which can see through the veil, and not only see through the veil, but remove the veil altogether. Nisargadatta Maharaj, again, reality can neither be proven nor disproved. Reality can neither be proved nor disproved. Within the mind, you cannot, because within the mind, you cannot prove or disprove reality. Beyond the mind, you need not. In real, the question is, what is real does not arise. In the real, the question, what is real, does not arise because you are real. You are in the real. So this question of thinking about what is unreal does not arise. What is unreal, what is real, arises only when you are in the unreal and you have glimpses of the real and you see the distinction. So when you are in the real, the question of what is real does not arise because that's where you are. Amory de Reincourt. Searching for some kind of reality either in the physical world or in the rational mind is a sheer waste of time, since they are both ultimately non-real. So if you are searching for your key outside the house, you won't find it. So if you are searching reality through rational mind in the physical world, you will not find it, because both are ultimately non-real. So you have to come out of the non-real to know reality. You cannot search for reality in what is unreal to begin with. Sounds very simple. Very simple but deep. By Nikos Kazantzakis. Since we cannot change reality, let us change our eyes, which see reality. It sounds simple, but difficult to conceive. By changing our eyes doesn't mean that you take these eyes out and fit in a new one. Changing how we see, without truly believing everything we see, how we can use these eyes to discard those perceptions as reality. That's a new beginning, good beginning. And imagine and understand without depending on the eyes. So since we cannot change reality, let us change the eyes which sees reality. Nisargadatta Maharaj says, this is a short quotation, the false must be abandoned. The false must be abandoned before the real can be found. In other words, you cannot live in the false and hope to know the real. You have to come out of it. The false must be abandoned before the real can be found. Nisargadatta Maharaj, the search for reality is, listen carefully, the search for reality is the most dangerous of all undertakings. The search for reality is the most dangerous of all the undertakings, because it will destroy the world in which you live. The search for reality is the most dangerous of all undertakings, for it will destroy the world in which you live. You live in unreality. So actually there is no destruction taking place here. So please don't misunderstand it. It is not you take the unreal world and destroy it, because it doesn't exist. So you cannot destroy what does not exist. So that is not the point here. The search for reality is the most dangerous of all undertakings. It destroys the world in which you live, or in which you thought you lived. So it is actually removing the illusion from your mind that you live in reality. It is not destroying anything. Carlos Castaneda. The world doesn't yield to us directly. Yield to us means doesn't expose itself, doesn't allow us to know the world. So the world doesn't yield to us directly. The description of the world stands in between. So when we describe something, we limit our access to that knowledge, because description is in words or in thoughts, and seeing something, describing it, will prevent you from knowing it. And I had one video, mind experiment, is how to know without naming. Something like this quotation, that if you are passing by something, you know the name, but don't use the name and then ask what is it. Don't say this is sun. Forget the word sun. Then know what it is. You cannot say it is sun and get away, walk away. Then you begin to describe its qualities and the impact the sun is having on you, and that is a much bigger understanding than calling it sun. So similar to naming, any description limits your understanding, your access to knowledge. So know things without naming, without describing it. The world does not reveal to us directly. The description of the world stands in between. This is by Vladimir Nabokov. What can be controlled is never completely real. Now this is a similar quotation that what is dependent on something cannot be real. So similar quotation, what can be controlled is never completely real. What is real can never be completely controlled, because what is controlled is artificial. Ilya Prigogine. Whatever we call reality, it is revealed to us through the active construction in which we participate. So, it is kind of a subtle statement. Reality is revealed to us through the active construction in which we participate. What we are constructing? We are constructing the world. We are part of the creator. We are a creator. We are creating reality. Whatever we call reality, it is revealed to us. What we call reality, not something we are naming reality, what we understand could be reality, is actually the construction process in which we are a part. We are a part of the creative process, and that my participation is the reality. I am constructing reality. I am real, I am constructing reality. Now what is unreal is what I begin to think and interpret and express, put words to it, and depending on the senses. So when we move out of it, we feel that what is real, actually we are part of the real. So why real is searching for the unreal? It's kind of humorous. It's a satire, perhaps, that we are real, we exist, that's reality. But what we are thinking, or what we are believing, or what we are interpreting, that is what is not real. Now this quotation is somewhat a clearer way of saying some of the earlier quotations, and a simpler way. It's by Dhananjay Kumar. Encountering the deeper levels of reality is directly proportional to dropping the outer layers of perception. The more we drop the outer layer of perception, the closer we are to reality in a proportional way. If we completely drop the outer layers of perception, doesn't mean that you stop seeing, perceiving, hearing, tasting. All that is fine to enjoy and survive as a physical body. But to start accepting our sensory perception as reality is the mistake. The more we drop it, the more we come out of it, the closer we are to the true reality. That is the message. Encountering the deeper levels of reality is directly proportional to dropping the outer layers of perception. Thank you for watching and paying attention. This video in our search for reality became a bit longer than many other videos. Appreciate your patience. We'll meet again soon. Namaste.